Hey, money makers, welcome back to Over Here We Craft for Money. I'm DJ, and in today's video, I am giving a wreath that I made last year for Thanksgiving a refresh. Sometimes, with busy schedules, the way that we are, we don't always have time to stop and make our own items. We are making items for our customers, we are getting requests from friends and family, and sometimes your own home decor for holidays goes just ignored, honey. But DJ has got this answer. I'm going to show you how I took what was a beautiful wreath, in my opinion, and I gave it a 2025 makeover with a few little extra items that I picked up and had in my stash. She has a makeover and she is looking real, real good. So grab yourself a tasty beverage and sit back and relax and watch me transform my Thanksgiving wreath from this to this. So the first thing that we're going to do is go ahead and remove that bow. It is a little flat. It was put away in one of my storage containers, and I had affixed it to the Dollar Tree sign with a little hot glue, and I'm glad I used hot glue instead of E6000 or something more permanent, because that allowed me to remove it without too much damage to the sign. The next thing that I knew about this year's decor is that I wanted to add some navy blue into some of my reds and my oranges and my golds. So I went on over to our friends at the Dollar Tree and I found this little scarecrow that had the little blue hat. So I already had the green and the orange one. And so I went looking for some of the darker blues because, again, that's going to be an embellishment that's going to help me bring it in. I could only find one, which was a little disappointing, but listen, we got to do what we can do with what we got. Now, that sign was at the top, and I think I'm going to bring it down a little bit closer to the uh, origin of the wreath this year around. It was at the top, but we're going to bring it down and go ahead and cover that part of the hook. I don't really need to do anything to the pumpkin sign itself. And so next, we're going to bring in some more of the blue. So I found these picks over at the Dollar Tree. They are 60% off. They were a perfect color blue. And so, yeah, I'm only going to use a few in the sign, but you guys know that I am a proud member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. So I am sure that the extra roses will get used before too long. So I just went on ahead and snipped them all the way off because I know that they're going to serve as embellishments. And next, I'm just going to push all of the leaves up towards the top because that will allow your artificial flowers to look a little more full. And I don't know about you, but let me know down in the chat. I just feel like when my mom used to get these kind of flowers to build arrangements when I was growing up, the flower buds were a lot more flush, they were bigger. And I don't know, everywhere that I went, these were like the best I can find. And I guess it's a sad day in the neighborhood, honey, when you say the best ones you could find is at the Dollar Tree. Because not even Hobby Lobby's florals were nice and full the way I wanted them to be. Though my friend told me about this place called Old Time Pottery down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So we may have to make a day trip over there and see what they got going on. But anyway, I'm just going through and making sure, like I said, that I push the greenery up toward the top, get rid of anything that could stick at the bottom, and then we're going to move on into the rest of the project. Next, I like to lay out to figure out what is this going to look like before I commit with my glue gun. So while my cordless glue gun is heating up and giving me all kinds of problems because it keeps falling off, I was being lazy, y'all, and I did not go in my office and get the stand that actually came with the glue gun, and that's why it's giving me such a hard time. Don't be like DJ, do better. All right, so now that I have laid them out, I have a pretty good idea of where they're going to go. I did have to cut the stems off a little bit more, and then I'm just applying some hot glue to the bud's base, and I'm sticking it onto the sign where I want it to go. When you are doing a wreath refresh, one of the things that you want to do is decide on a main pop of color that's going to be added to it. So your previous wreath probably has a theme already, like this one. As you can see, there was a lot of oranges and reds, and I used burlap ribbon. So I needed a different color, a stark color that was really going to pop the sign out and give it its refreshed look. And for me, that was navy. But it will depend on the type of wreath that you are trying to refresh. But embellishments is what you want to lean into if you want to refresh the wreath. I could have took everything apart, but then might as well have started a whole new wreath. In this case, we want to use what we got. And there's where our little scarecrow guy is going to come on in. I cut the wood off of the base of him, and we're going to get him added to the sign across from the little scarecrow with the green hat on his head. Oops, watching my fingers, y'all. A light keep going out. I'm just going to apply some glue to the back of his head, and then I'm going to press him down real good, getting some of the glue on the sign and some on the burlap ribbon. And you can apply a little bit of pressure depending on the sign that you're working with. I'm going to put a little bit on that edge just to make sure that I don't get a lot of wind in my breezeway, but in case, I just don't want him to fall off. That darn light has gone out again. I guess I didn't charge it enough. It only happens when you recording. All right, so we added 4, and this doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just adding the pop of color where I feel like it needs to be, because I know that what's really going to set this sign all the way off is going to be my ribbon. So I've got myself a 1.5-inch ribbon and 2.5-inch ribbons. Think that I got the plaid buffalo check I already had in my stash, as well as that orange burlap. The new one is the one you see me cutting the plastic off of now. So I really went looking for the colors that were going to help me pull in that navy that I'm trying to add to the sign. The other reason that I kept the buffalo check was I already had it, and y'all know we about saving some money over here, but it was the blue that I was looking for. So I used the orange to marry that in the blue and the one with the darker colors into the sign. So I am just getting my little cutting board, and I am measuring 10 inches there, but I realize, I'm going to want this to be just a little bit longer than that. So I'm going to stretch it out again after I get what I'm thinking is going to be my tails. Now, when it comes to bow making, there are so many different videos on YouTube that you can look up on how to make a bow. And I'll be honest with you guys, I used to stress out so bad about making bows. But at the end of the day, if you got yourself some good pattern ribbon, making sure you got the kind with the wire in it, you cannot go wrong. All you have to do is just keep fluffing those loops. So once you cut the first ribbon, you want to just use that same measurement to cut out the other 2. And I did those at 10 inches. And I just used my scissors because I couldn't find my rotary cutters. Next, I pulled out my Bodabra bow maker. And the good thing with this particular ribbon, the orange, is it's the same on both sides. There's not a bad side. So all I have to do is measure out my loops, twist, and make the next loop. I believe that I did 2 on each side there, and then I went next with my buffalo check. Now, the buffalo check is the same. There's not a bad side, so all I had to do was twist and flip. Oh, I'm lying. That one did have a bad side. So you always want to have the bad side facing you and the side you want to show facing down. And then you make the loop slightly shorter, maybe a 1/2 inch from the first colored ribbon. Make sure that they're even. And then you always want to twist with the bad side facing you as you go in and out of the Bodabra. I like this because I suffer with my hands from all these years of making t-shirts and writing and typing in my day job. And the Bow Dabber is just super helpful in keeping everything together without me having to put a lot of pressure on my hands. I'm going to go ahead and add that third ribbon. That's my smaller one, my 1.5 inch. It does have a bad side, so the bad side is facing me. And then I always do a twist as I come through the Bow Dabber and twist it around. And a bow can have as many loops as you choose. It is completely up to you. But in a wreath refresh, I think the bigger bow is going to give it that extra pizzazz that I didn't give it last year. Last year, I did a simpler bow and I only used one ribbon. And so, what's a good refresh if we're not going to take it up a notch? Once I have all my loops, I'm going to tie my floral ribbon around it and pull it really, really tight because that's a lot of loops there. Double knot that. So this way I can tug on the loops and not worry about destroying the bow. And now it's time to start to spread everything out. If I were going to do anything different, I would probably have added 2 more loops of the solid orange just to give it a little bit more balance, but it still turned out beautiful. So I'm not going to get stuck in the weeds on that as I can sometimes do. And I find myself getting excited to fluff my bow, so I be wanting to hurry up and get started. But the truth is, you're going to fluff it more once you affix it to whatever it's going to be on, in this case, our refreshed wreath. Now I'm tying in the tails that I previously cut at the very beginning. Again, those are 10-inch, but you can make those as long or as short as you want. And I'm just affixing them to the back of the bow using the same floral ribbon that I did for the loops. There she is. Now we want to go ahead and dovetail our tails of our bow, and that is when you fold the ribbon in half and you cut at an angle towards the wire. Once I've done that on all of the tails, including the little small ones, it's time to put her on her new home. So I decided to go ahead and glue down the tails first, and then because I should have made them a little longer, but we are not wasting over here. So I'm going to go ahead and put the bow in there, and then I will affix the tails on last. And of course, the fluffing begins, and I do like it. And we're just puffing it up. You cannot break it. The good thing about wire ribbon is it will go flat when you go to store it, but it will revitalize just as easy. All you have to do is just stick your fingers in and make those loops and puff them out the way that you want them to be. I'm really loving the color choices, and I think it really changed the personality of this wreath. Now what I'm going to do, because I want to make sure that the tails don't come off, they were pretty thick. So I'm just going to pinch them down the middle, add me a wired pipe cleaner. You can use any color pipe cleaner with this type of ribbon. You won't even see it as the burlap ribbon really covers the back. And I'm just going to use the 4th loop on the wire wreath, and I'm just going to give it a good twist once I get it all the way through and around. And now I'll fluff just a little bit more. And baby, she is cute. She has been refreshed with just a few little embellishments added to it. She's got a whole different personality, and she is ready to go out on our front door. It's fall, y'all. Let me know down in the comments, have you ever refreshed a wreath, or do you start over fresh every year? And let me know after seeing this video if you're going to give a refresh wreath a try. If you haven't already subscribed to the Moneymaker family, please make sure you do. Give this video a thumbs up, turn on that notification bell, and make sure you share this video with someone else who needs this information. Until next time, bye.